things are extremely complex. Nothing is like black and white.
Exactly.
And a lot of people's mentality is to make things black and white.
I think Bitcoin's going to hit 100,000 within the next 10 years. Like, I think that's likely. I think that's possible.
Okay, so here's a key thing that we need to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
What would people do if Bitcoin disappeared tomorrow? Like, how would their lives change?
What do you mean, how would their lives change?
Like
they just lose a bunch of money?
No, like, ignore that.
Okay, ignore that.
Like,
Okay.
It's not about...
Right. I think I could answer this. It wouldn't change much.
Yeah.
And what he's trying to get at, I see where you're trying to get at. It's like, it doesn't have that big of an impact on the world.
But it does.
Like, for example, if they took away cars, like today, they took away my car, everyone's cars, like that has a pretty big impact on the world. But if you take Bitcoin away right now, how much of an impact does that create in the world? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I think there would be like some big problems that would arise from that. Okay,
ignore people losing money. I'm not talking like a terror event. I'm just talking about purely like everything, especially prior to cryptocurrency, everything that existed had a purpose. Mm-hmm. And maybe that purpose ended up not achieving what it...
Like a service or good, like a service or good or product or whatever. Like
every single like investment prior to that was some... It was linked by some like utility. We'll use the word utility.
Mm-hmm.
And Bitcoin doesn't really have that. And also, second to that, there's nobody that really manages, like, there's no one that's taking Bitcoin and trying to establish its like purpose. And so, for example, if you have US dollar, it's a means of exchange.
Yes.
If you have any currency, right? Any currency now, it's a means of exchange. You can get things that you need to survive by using it. You can't, you can kind of do it with Bitcoin. I know some people tried to do it, but relatively speaking, the average person given a ton of Bitcoin would be like toilet paper to them. I mean,
right now in today's thing, like, if Bitcoin were to be gone tomorrow, like physically, you have no physical aspect of this or whatever, right? Like you're not really losing anything.
But
physically.
Everyone's just using Bitcoin to speculate right now.
Yes, correct. Yeah, for sure.
And that's not a productive.
Like, where do you get the $100,000 like price target? You know what I mean? Like, where do you get that from?
Let me get to that. So, like, I think the biggest utility. You said that things that I guess like businesses or companies, they need a utility, right? They need to provide something.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that Bitcoin does provide is the blockchain, right?
I agree. Blockchain technology.
You know what I'm saying? Blockchain technology is very interesting, and we're still finding ways to use this technology in today's business, and especially, and I want to push on to like NFTs and things like that, because NFTs, there are like certain NFTs that can hold utilities, or you can essentially build a business through the blockchain with an NFT, right?
If you own a Bored Ape, you have the ability to receive $100,000 per year in like merchandising.
Yeah.
So for example, those guys, they created Bored and Hungry like burger chain.
Yeah.
With because they own a Bored Ape.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I'm actually with you.
So it's like that's the actual utility that's providing.
But that's not Bitcoin.
Right now, what?
But it's not Bitcoin. And the thing is,
no. So now my other part, the second part, because that's just one of the things that we're kind of starting to see right now.
Blockchain technology.
And the thing about blockchain technology is basically that it's peer-to-peer lending, right? Where it's basically like, we're doing a transaction.
There's no intermediary that like.
Yes.
And
there's a
third party.
You don't need to use a normal institution to process your exchange.
Exactly, right? There's a computer out there that's solving an algorithm to process our transaction, right? So like that in itself kind of solves a major problem in the entire sector of just like centralized banking, right?
Because if the bank goes bust, then they can't.
Exactly, right. So those are just the two main like things that are keeping Bitcoin alive, and that I think that will keep Bitcoin going for like a long time. I don't know how long, right? And I wouldn't say forever. I'm just saying for like a substantial amount of time, at the very least 10 years. That's why I'm saying possible, right? Okay. Like 10 years, like it's a big possibility. Now, the thing that we want to see for Bitcoin to get to $100,000, I have like five main things that like just very general things that people could look out for, right? And this is not financial advice. This is just things that I think are possible and realistic.
This is the research that you've done that have led you to this 100,000.
Yeah, I want to know.
Well, no. My real research is pretty much the stock to flow model. That's one of the biggest reasons. The signs to look out for would be like obviously watching the Federal Reserve, seeing how they're acting right now, because right now the market crypto market is correlated to the stock market, right? When the market goes down,
because the institutions
crypto goes down.
That goes back to my point. Is institutions got into Bitcoin
Exactly.
because all of the other investments were getting too expensive.
And institutions staying in Bitcoin, and even more institutions joining Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin, that's going to propel it to go up. So another thing would be look at the trading volumes, right? Look at the indicators, look at the capitulations, right? Look at from mass sell-offs and shit like that. That's another indicator on like where the trajectory is going to be headed. Another one was basically like follow the smart money, right? Like look at what Apple's doing, look at what Tesla's doing, and basically how, because once they make a move and they start playing around with blockchain technology or utilizing this Bitcoin, that's going to create mass adoption. That's going to trigger mass adoption where more people are going to start utilizing and using it in the real world, right? And it's going to have more of a value in time, right? Now, that mass adoption and following the smart money, that's what's really going to bring the price up to 100,000 more than likely. Like that's my like possible prediction, right? And that's very general. That's very general. It's not very specific.
Like 100,000, 400K, like how do we know that we're
when I got
not throwing around numbers?
Yeah, so when you follow it, there are fuck, bro, I don't know how to explain it to you, but there's other like, this is a worldwide, like international kind of like trade thing. So it's like there's more companies like around the world that are just gonna start adopting it. Like they're gonna start picking up. Like one of the examples that's actually being used today, which is crazy because this is recent, is the fact that they're starting to do 401ks, retirement funds. They're starting to back it up with Bitcoin, right? So you can now get a Bitcoin from, I think, one of the largest, Fidelity. Yeah. So you know about this, right? And they have it like $11.4 trillion.
I read a lot.
They're the number one.
Came prepared.
I read a lot of bullshit on Twitter.
Well, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like that's one of the things that I just found this out really like today, and I'm like, oh shit, like that is a big turning point because now that's creating another market, another niche market of people who want to like cash, dollar cost average down, right? And it's like, yo, like let me just put my money into Bitcoin and as my retirement fund or whatever, and whatever happens when I'm 50 or 40 or 60, like hopefully I can take that money out tax free. Type shit. So now you're creating another narrative, you're creating another market, and people are going to start pushing this into it. Institutions can start picking it up. You see a lot of creators pushing that out now, like they're getting deals, affiliate links, and shit like that. So it's that, like all these small little things. You know, people are going to keep being creative. That's how innovation is pushed, right? When things go down, people are like, yo, how can we solve more problems? How can we use what we have now and put money into creating something different? And how can we get more people to use it, right? What's the story? What's the why? Right. So like that's my reasoning as why I think like in the next 10 years, I think it's likely that Bitcoin could hit 100,000. And mass market manipulation is also a real thing, right?
But I mean, there's no regulation in Bitcoin, so yeah, it's fine. Makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm like, yo, like they could pump it up and then it could just pump down, like whatever.
Okay,
but I think could hit it. There's so many factors that could hit it.
I think there's two. I mean, listen, anything can happen, and like people could be proven right for the right reasons or proven right for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
A lot of people are like, people will claim victory before the bell, right? Like investing is an infinite thing. Like your entire life until you cash out and go to whatever, maybe it'll be Bitcoin since dollar is going to fall apart. But until you like cash the trade or like complete whatever investment you made, like you're still on the hook for being wrong. But a lot of people will claim this is just a side point, like just to say is like everything continues to evolve, and there's two, I think, key points to consider. One, cryptocurrency, I think the demand, like any price of anything out there is merely just supply and demand, and those things obviously are, demand can be created through perception, through narrative, and like all those things are important, but those things are obviously very volatile, right? People's sentiment is extremely like the pendulum. It swings quite significantly.
It's like 2017. Went down 90%.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think like the key thing is like Bitcoin in the public's eye has been probably around like 5 years. And you think about technologies which existed and then ceased to exist after 2000, which was the tech bubble. And I think there's a key point to be made, which is not all of these things which people have been sold on will exist through I hate these people that are like, I'm a doomsday recession caller, I know it's gonna happen. But if the Federal Reserve decides to follow its mandate and fight inflation and raise rates and reduce their balance sheet, you could probably kill, like it could end up killing Bitcoin, because there could be institutions which were part of the rise in the price that now need to take more, like they now need to be much more like safer with their capital. They need to allocate to assets that aren't as volatile. And the reason for that is because institutions, their motivation is they're answerable to whoever they took the money from. And if they're losing a lot of money, they're going to make changes. And so that, I mean, this is a key thing is that.
Do you think that a lot of them will just kind of jump into Bitcoin at some point in a cryptocurrency?
But I think that that's already happened. I think the key thing is that anybody that would, like Paul Tudor Jones.
Do you think the bubble happened with Bitcoin?
I'm not like,
are you trying to compare it to a bubble, or like I just want to know where you're coming from?
I mean, it's down 50%.
It's down 50%.
So like you
so
could definitely and there's other dude,
right.
Dogecoin's down like 90%. So there was definitely a bubble in cryptocurrency. Like I don't think it's really like something that
I for sure
definitely
can't.
can't.
Bubbles, yes.
You definitely can't like argue against it. Like there was this like stupid shit that was getting a lot like
but just like the market, like the tech market.
Yeah,
right?
agreed.
Right.
Dude,
SPACs,
like fucking
and all
SPACs
that.
are down.
Yeah.
Like it's not unique to cryptocurrency. But listen, oil and gas companies had a really good year so far this year, and Target and Walmart and Coca-Cola. And so what I'm saying is that people expect that risky assets will quickly become back in favor, because that's all that they're used to.
Yeah.
And I'm saying is that how much resolve will people that have believed in Bitcoin, how much will they have if they're no longer able to live the lives that they were able to live over the last 5 years? So that's one major factor that I think that is a bigger risk to this 100K price target, or just a major upside. Because like I hear a lot of people that think Bitcoin is going to go up a lot.
Yep.